Morning class. Today we are going to do moral science chapter number 15, universal love, and we are going to talk about Princess Diana. Princess Diana children was born in 1961 into the English aristocracy. The meaning of aristocracy is people born in highest social class. Her childhood was not a particularly happy one. Her parents divorced. They got separated when she was just 6 years old. And when her father remarried, he did the second marriage, some years later she found it difficult to get on with her stepmother. She was not able to live happily with her stepmother also children. Although in many respects her home life was privileged, she has got many advantages, but still she grew up feeling insecure. She was not happy, she was insecure, fearful. Diana enjoyed sports and ballet. Ballet is a style of dancing children, but never excelled academically at school, and she failed her O-level examinations. While at school, she was often found consoling smaller children if they were crying and was always ready to help. In school, she was always found to helping children and making the children smile, those who were crying. She used to console them, make them happy. Pupils at Diana's school were encouraged to visit the sick and the elderly. Like schools goes now to different ashrams and all, so they used to encourage the children to visit sick people and the elderly people. Some did not like doing this, but Diana thoroughly enjoyed her regular visits to the mentally disabled. But Diana enjoyed this thing a lot. Although many students didn't like this or didn't enjoy this, but Diana thoroughly enjoyed this thing. She wanted to visit such people. She wanted to meet such people, those who were mentally disabled. She had found her role. She thought that she had found her role, and was a good example of the saying, the aim of education is character. And you can say that she was an example of the saying children, that the aim of education is character children. When Princess Diana was 19, she went to live in London. When she was 19 years old. She loved children, so was delighted to get a job as an assistant at a kindergarten school children. And she used to love children, and she was happy when she got the job of an assistant at kindergarten school, KG school. She became engaged to Prince Charles and had a fairy tale wedding watched by millions around the world. And then later on she became engaged with Prince Charles, and her wedding was in such a way that it was like a fairy tale children. Diana became a star overnight, but found it difficult to cope with this new role. She became a star children, but it was again difficult for her to play this new role. The media became obsessed with her and gave her no privacy. All the time media was around her, and she was left with no privacy children. She didn't have any private life. She became depressed and developed a condition called bulimia nervosa, which is an eating disorder. And later on she became so depressed that she was having a disease, or you can say a eating disorder, that was called bulimia nervosa. Yet in her public life children, she was always seen smiling. She became the most photographed woman in the world. She could have led a useless life of frivolity, fun, like some other princesses, because she was having all the privileges. So she could have lived a life of frivolity, of fun, like other princesses. But children, instead this, she opened her heart to the sick, the needy, and the unloved. She was always ready to help the sick people, needy people, and the unloved ones children. She had suffered much mental pain herself, but had emerged a stronger person. She has also suffered a lot of pain children mentally, but still she was very strong children. She and Charles had 2 sons, William and Harry. Later on she had 2 kids, William and Harry. She did a lot of work with charities and often took the boys with her on visits to hospitals and shelters for the homeless, frequently unannounced. And she also took her children to visit hospitals and shelters for homeless people without telling them even, and most frequently, again and again. She became friends with Mother Teresa and supported her mission. Later on, she became friends with Mother Teresa and she supported her. She championed health causes, especially challenging and difficult causes such as AIDS, leprosy, drug addiction, and the homeless and abused children. Wherever she felt she could make a difference, she was happy, children. Wherever she feel that she can do something, she used to become very happy, and very happily she did. She became aware of a deep need within herself to help those who were sick and dying. She was very aware, and she herself thought that sick and dying people need her. They need the love. She brought light and comfort into the lives of those she helped, acting not out of duty but out of pure love. She brought light, she brought life to many children, to many people. She gave comfort to them, and all this she didn't do because she thought as if it is her duty, but she did all this out of pure love. Her love was pure for everyone, children. She gave of herself with warmth and compassion, talking and listening to the patients and their families. She was very compassionate person. She used to listen to the patients, to their families, giving comfort and reassurance with a smile. She used to assure them that they will be fine, that they'll be happy. A pat on the cheek. She used to touch their cheeks. She pat them, holding hands and hugging them. By openly and publicly touching and hugging AIDS and leprosy patients, it did much for their causes. She even used to hug and touch all those patients which nobody even wants to go near. She learned to use the royal institution and the persecuting media for the benefit of her charity work instead of being their victim. And later on, earlier she was being obsessed by media, but she was being troubled by media, but later on she used the media for her charity work, and by the medium of media she helped the people. After a trip to Angola, she started a campaign against landmines, highlighting the plight of landmine victims and succeeding in bringing the world's attention to the issue. And later on, she went to Angola and she started campaigning against landmines, highlighting the plight of landmine victims and succeeding in bringing world's attention to the issue. And she brought the world's attention to this issue. She became an ambassador for landmine victims, war orphans, and the sick and the needy. For years, children, she had felt inferior and intimidated by people with academic achievements. For many years, children, she used to feel inferior as she was not academically successful, we all know. But letting them influence her judgment and allowing them to govern her, they used to influence her judgments, and she allowed them to govern her life. The unhappiness in her life became balanced by the joy she found in helping the sick and dying. But this thing was balanced when she started helping the people who were sick and who were dying. Then this thing got balanced. This unhappiness of her life, this emptiness of her life was fulfilled at that time. Diana donated 70 of her famous ball gowns to be auctioned in New York a few months before her death. And just before her death, she auctioned her 70 she didn't auction, she donated her 70 famous gowns to be auctioned, and she raised millions of pounds for the charities she worked so hard to help. And she gave all that money as donation for the charities she was working. The news of Diana's death in 1997 triggered the most extraordinary outpouring of public grief in the UK. And the news of her death was shown through media, and the people were in so much grief when she died in 1997 throughout the world. United in their grief were people of all ages, and the people, those who were grieving for her, were belonging to all the ages. children, small kids, elderly people, everyone, all cultures, all religions, of all classes and all backgrounds. She had touched them all. She was truly the people's princess. Children, I hope this chapter is clear to you. We all can learn that we should be compassionate, we should be loveful, we should be peaceful towards everyone. We should try to give love to everyone whom we meet, especially the ones who really need it, children. And not just because it is our duty or it's our ambition or something. It should be out of pure love. We should have a serving nature. Are you getting my point, children? Please read the chapter one more time throughout. Give a reading throughout, and if you have got any problem, just let me know. Thank you. Have a nice day.